Hello, my name is LL. I'm here to give my own personal opinion and a short review about Lightning Returns Final Fantasy 13. Lightning Return is the third installment of 13, which takes place years after the messed up events of the true ending in 13-2. In this game, you play as Lightning, who now works for a god to prepare souls for the new world, which will end in 13 days. During those 13 days, Lightning will be fulfilling requests from characters and people, NPCs, and she'll also meet friends and enemies while trying to save them and the world. So let us start with the plot. Honestly, I'm not going to talk much about it. I'll just give you a small recap of how I feel about it because I really don't want to spoil it to you and all. Just playing it, there isn't much in terms of a plot theme or plot wise. The only time you actually experience a plot is basically on the main missions themselves, which are about 5 main missions, and they're pretty short too. The rest of the time doing side quests and such is pretty much irrelevant to the actual main plot. It has nothing to do with it. You're just being a slave to these NPCs to help them out and such, so you can steal their souls, which is not really their souls, but now after watching the ending, it is mind-blowing in a bad and good way. On a general perspective, when you look at the whole 13 series, it does make sense, starting from 13, the ending of 13, then 13-2, then up till, Lightning Return. If you look at the whole general plot line of, the Etro, the gods and everything, it actually makes a lot of sense. But in terms of how it ends, it was just mind-blowing, good or bad, depending on your perspective of it. So overall, if you try to play the game separately itself, it is very, very confusing because you don't really see much of the grander scale of the actual, the whole plot. It's pretty much similar to like watching a movie that has like Harry Potter, when you just see like the 3rd book or 4th book, but you have no idea about what happened on the first 2 books. It's kind of like that because the whole Harry Potter series is a grand scale of Harry and Voldemort, and that's pretty much almost the same thing with the another, let's say the Hobbit in the Lord of the Rings. It's about the ring. It has much greater plot wise than just the Hobbit. It's about the ring, and if you actually read all the books, the Hobbit, and then the 3 Lord of the Rings series, the 3 books, you can see the actual story flesh out like that. So it makes it very understandable. That's what Lightning Return is like. If you don't understand the background history of Etro and all the gods, and you don't understand the ending from 13-2, and you try to play Lightning Return, and it just seems weird because you're like, wait a minute, didn't something happen to this on the previous game, and such like that. So you're pretty much confused. But the overall plot is, I liked it. I like the idea general of it, but at the end, the very ending to conclude the whole thing, it feels like to me it feels like a cop-out. Let's just say it like that. So overall, the plot is pretty subjective, so I am not going to give you a grade or rating at all. All I can say is, overall idea, I like. How it ends, mind-blowing, stupid. Next, I want to talk about the graphics of the game, which will be another short one like the plot. Overall, the environment is pretty big, it is colorful, and the detail is pretty good. The battles in the battle, the graphics, you know, like the spells and stuff is really great, and then you know the background and everything. The costumes is nice. The facial animation, you know, the facial looks and all that characters and stuff looks great, but that comes to the problem. The biggest problem with this game is the texture. The texture is goddamn awful. It's just really bad, and some models like the dog is just freaking horrible. In fact, my first reaction finishing a quest for a dog, you know, a woman to get her dog back, I was like, is that really a dog? Or is that like a giant squirrel or something? I don't know. It just doesn't look like a dog. And yes, I'm sure people's gonna talk about Lightning's feet, how it looks really pathetic, texture, ugly, whatever. Horrible. And then not only is there texture problems, there's also clipping problems, which I am not surprised. Give Lightning a dress like Crescent Moon, have her wear a big ass sword, and you'll see that sword clipping through her dress all the time. But not only that, there's also a lot of clipping problems in the game, like half body in and out of buildings sometimes, or you know, it's just so weird as hell. It seems like they didn't really focus much on graphics this time, unlike, you know, Final Fantasy 13. It isn't bad, you know, but it just feels it feels really cheapened, you know. I mean, the environment looks nice and everything, but the texture, the quality of the texture is just bad. So it kind of like ruined the overall feeling of the environment in a way. Oh, also there's also some incomplete graphics. Like at some points in this locations, you can see the train track that allows you to travel across countries. If you look far enough, you can see there is no more train tracks, but you can see the train going through like some invisible track, like it's flying in the air, which is pretty hilarious in a way. Overall graphics, I don't like to grade it, so but if I have to, I'll probably give it like a 5 or 6 out of a 10 point scale. It's like average, above average, but not exactly good, great, or awesome, you know. So pretty much graphics, details are nice, environments is really pretty, the location and everything. The animations, the facial design and all that is really nice. I like her hair moves and everything. Clothes designs are great, CGI is awesome, but obviously texture is really bad. There's a lot of clipping problems. So that's pretty much graphics. Okay, now I would like to talk to you about two of the biggest high points I believe in Lightning Return. The first thing I would like to talk to you about is the abilities and styles. Pretty much styles. Styles is pretty much equivalent to, let's say, a job change, or yeah, pretty much a job change, where you can decide like how you want your characters to be and such. Let's go. Okay, main styles. As you can see, I have 3 main styles right now. These 3 are what you use in battle. And you can also rename them to whatever you want, so you'll know what it is. In my case, I have all 3 styles named after the Final Fantasy 13 roles, since the battle system is pretty much the same thing. I have the Jammer, which is the debuffer to debuff the enemies. I have the Blaster, which is the caster to exploit their weakness. And then after exploiting the weakness, you know, they go into break mode, which is stagger in the American version. And so once they're in break mode, I can attack them for you know, heavy damage. You could also make 6 more extra styles, which is for different situations or having fun. In my case, Lightning Rady. This style is purely based to help me regain GP, which I will explain later on. Smexy is a fun type offensive style, which is purely based on speed. I can dodge enemy attacks. I can run up to enemies that attack really fast. So it's pretty much a fun type, you know, speed build style. Nickel Dragoon, you get the Mikote class costume from Final Fantasy 14. And the reason I have Dragoon is because she can use a jump ability. You know, just for fun. I also have the Dragoon, which is, you know, the Dragoon class. Have the, you know, it's just a Dragoon. Yen is pretty much a costume that has Ultima. You get this at the optional dungeon. And my last one is Chocolina costume, which I'm trying to mimic a Chocolina for Lightning. So when you make a style, you can decide what costume you want to use. So as you can see, there's a bunch of costumes I can decide to pick. And then once you choose it, you can decide what sword you want. You can have the sword or Revenge of Chaos. Lots of different swords you can decide, you know, depending on how you want it to be. Do you want it to have high magic attack or high physical attack and maybe a passive bonus? And then you can pick a shield. The shield pretty much gives you defensive properties, you know, to reduce damage, and it can also increase your ATB regeneration. Really depends on what type you put. So in this case, this shield right here, gives you a lot of hit points. It also increases your ATB regeneration by 45. The one I'm using right now, it doesn't increase as much, but it's a really high defensive type, you know, to block enemy attacks with 400 power, guard power. Then you can equip accessories, 2 accessories, and then a decoration, which is pretty much you know, something to customize your lightning. In this case, I have glasses, but you can have a chocobo on your head, or an umbrella, mushroom, a lot of stuff. See, chocobo. So there's a lot of stuff you can add on. There's like over 200 types, so a lot of stuff you can, you know. But sadly, you only can have one. From there, you equip up to 4 abilities. Ability can be in a physical type, like heavy slash, a magic type like rune, a defensive type like a guard or region guard, or evasion. And then you have debuff, you know, to debuff the enemies, like slow and bio. Note this one right here in the circle. There's a lock icon. That means this is part of the costume. So pretty much every costume have maybe 1 or 2 ability locked. So in this case, the Hunter Jungle costume only can have 3 abilities I can equip on here. In this case, I have heavy attack, regeneration guard, shadow bind, which is the lock ability for this costume, and Aurora. For my jammer, I have heavy attack, heavy slash, de-protect, de-shell, and slow. Obviously because of my debuff. And then my blaster, the nuking. As you can tell, the first one is a locked ability, which is Fire. The second one is Blizzard, which is, it would just, you know, I can decide what I want. Aurora and Thundera. So I have all 4 elements there. What makes this so fun about style is you can decide exactly what kind of you know, how you want to build your game, you know, your style of gameplay when you're in battle. In my case, obviously, look at the name of the style and how I, you know, what abilities I chosen. It's pretty much like Final Fantasy 13. But there are players that actually went for a hybrid type. Like my attackers, because I have a physical attack, I have a ability to defend against attacks. I have casting magic. With a hybrid style on all 3, you might not be as more like in depth of you know, like a jammer with a lot of debuff abilities and such, but you're more well-rounded and average to, you know, handle many situations. So in my case, My attacker is the only one that has a guard ability, regen guard. But my Jammer and Blaster does not. It's all offensive abilities. So if I ever want to block or guard an attack, I have to go to attacker. And I better hope I have ATB to spend to ATB. Let's see how much it is. It costs 8 ATB a second. No, 8 ATB and then 1 second ever since then. So I have to be in attacker mode, attacker style in battle, and I have to have enough ATB to use guard. So if I don't have enough, I have to take the full hit. That's why some players go for more hybrid style, so that way it does not matter which style you have, as long as any of them have ATB, you can actually guard. But mine's more of an offensive, a very, very aggressive type. So that's what I like about this, because you can actually dictate how you want to set up your playstyle and everything, which is really, really awesome. Now I want to talk to you about the other part of the customization. This is about abilities. This is to improve and improvise. It is under the thing called synthesize. When you synthesize, you pretty much take two of the same abilities and combine it together. When you merge it together, it increases the attack multiplier. And it can also inherit extra abilities like lower ATB or auto ability. In this case, Flare, it costs 100 ATB to cast. The multiplier damage is 10. It's a rank A in knockout frequency to increase the the gauge higher, but it has 0 rank in keeping it from decaying, which is pretty much is more of a finishing blow. For Aurora, as you can see here, one of them has 15 ATB, the other one has 19. And the multiplier is different. One of them has 3.08 and the other one is 2.84. But the passive ability is completely different though. In this case, this one has magic attack plus 110. If you noticed, Aurora here has something you should probably notice. It's yellow, right? When it's yellow, it means there's a passive ability, and there's a star on it on the icon, the staff icon. It can also be on weapons and defensive on all the abilities. So if it's yellow color, it means there's a passive ability. In this case, attack up. If you look at here, there is no attack up. I mean, there's no passive ability. I'm sorry. Now, if there's an arrow, it means you can level up to the next level. In this case, I can level this up to level 4. So when you combine these two together, you want to choose the first one, which will inherit that passive ability. In this case, I'm going to inherit magic attack up plus 110. So let's choose this one first. And then the other one has the top one is the one you originally first choose. The bottom one is the one you want to combine it with. So this one has a lower ATB of 15 and a higher multiplier. So the color in blue is what's going to be carried over to the new one. So do I want to transfer it? Yes. It's asking me, are you sure? Because I have this equipped on my blaster style, but it's okay. So do I want to combine it? Yes. Ability synthesize. As you can see, my ATB dropped to 15 because that's the lowest of the two abilities. But also, if you notice, my attack multiplier went to 3.16 instead of 3.08. That's because I combined those two, and I get the 3.08 plus an increase. I mean, because you synthesize, so it's 3.16. And if you notice, I also inherited the passive ability of magic attack up plus 110. Now, when you level up, like let's say evasion level 4, you need special items to level up. So let's try it out. So let's go level up. Let's go evasion. Let's level up evasion level 4. As you can see, I have enough. I have 17 items. I only need 1. So let's level up. I leveled up and it's max level apparently. So as you can see, there's this level star. ATB the reduction is increased from 14 to 12, and guarding is a 10% reduction in damage. So that's pretty much the whole ability system. You pretty much take two abilities and you combine it. Once you combine it enough, it'll be maxed out at that current level, and you'll have an up arrow like all of these does. This signifies you can actually level up to the next level. For defensive abilities and debuff, they're always maxed out. You cannot combine them together unless you want to carry over like a special property. For attacks and magic, you can combine them to improve their attack modifier, and level up. Okay, the next thing you can do in Lightning Return to help boost the your stats and such is the ability to upgrade your weapons, armor, and accessories. Unfortunately, this can only be done on New Game Plus. For upgrading accessories, when you find an item box, a treasure, that has an item you already have, it'll automatically be upgraded to a higher tier version. So if you find, like, say, an angle that gives you 20% hit points more, on New Game Plus, if you find it again, it'll probably give you maybe 25% more hit points. For weapons and armor, you go to the forge shop. And here I go, let's go in. And you can actually upgrade it or downgrade it. When you upgrade, you can decide what weapon you want to upgrade and what armor shield you want to upgrade. So let's go an example. I'll use my sword. As you can see, there's 3 tiers. If you look at the bottom, there's 3 screws, 1, 2, and 3. Each are color coded. Basically, the first one is yellow tier, the next is orange and red, which signifies the same bars on the top. If you notice, there is no yellow bar on the attack power upgrade, so you don't use that. Instead, you start with orange, which is I have 37 of these. So let's try to upgrade it. So every time when you upgrade, you lose a material to upgrade, and obviously you can. This is if I go to red, I only have 3 of them, so I can't upgrade anymore. So let's do it like this. If you see, it increased my attack power 500 more, so it'll be 2200. I can also reduce the ATB penalty. Right now it's minus 15, and the max I can get is minus 5. So let's drop it down with the materials, and right now, there we go, halfway. So now the upgrade, and then improve it by 5, so it's minus 10 instead of 15. So do I want to upgrade? Yes. Let's upgrade. Equipment upgraded. As you can see to the left, that's your previous default, which is 1700 damage. Now it's 2200. For ATB speed, it's minus 15. Now it's minus 10. So another I can try is the armor. Let's do it. Let's go clouds. Amulet. Let's do that. Okay. As you can see, the only upgrade you can do is hit points. Right now you get a 2000 HP extra for equipping it, but you can go up to 20,000. So let's just go crazy and add as much as you can. As you can see, I'm using the first screw right now, so because it's in the yellow gauge, and I'm about to go to orange gauge right now. So now I'm using the orange, and I'm about to go to red. It looks like I can max it all the way, and yes, I can. So I get a full 20,000 HP bonus for equipping this on a style. Do I want to? Yes, let's do it. So instead of 2,000 HP, now it's 20,000 HP. So here you can actually modify the way you want it, but you can't always upgrade it to the max because there's one reason. If you look at the very bottom of the list, under screws, there's a little potion icon, and then the cost. You see 90 to 100, right? 100 is the max amount you can upgrade. 92 is the current limit, is the current what I have. So 100 is the max. So here it is mostly unlikely I can upgrade this to my magic improvement to the max. See, I can't go anymore because this is 100. So at best I can make is my attack is max at 2200, and then my magic max is 1100. Or I can, you know, balance it and everything. So it's really up to you on how you want to upgrade this. But for most equipment, you won't be able to max it to the max every you know, possible upgrade for that weapon to the max. So you might keep an eye on that. And even though you're losing, you know, the materials to upgrade, you can actually get it back by de-upgrading them. So if I remove all of these, I get all the you know, materials I used on this. So you don't really lose much, honestly. You can bring it all the way back to default. As you can see on the bottom, it says 070 because I had nothing added on to here. So do I want to downgrade? Yes, I do. See, now I'm back to default of what I had when I bought the sword. And I get all my items back for the upgrades. So this is a pretty cool customization of your weapons and armor, because you can, you know, customize it the way you want it. The weapons, you could decide whether you want to improve the attack, the ATB speed, or increase the damage up. For a defensive weapon like a shield, you can decide, do I want to increase my hit points, or do I want to make it so I'm much higher ATB you know, speed, or do I want to increase my defense, you know, the damage reduction. So it's very custom, I'd say, you know, customizable, so you can decide what you want to do, and based on your playstyle. So that is the pretty much the weapon and armor upgrade system. Now let's talk about the battle system of Lightning Return. It is pretty much like 13 and 13.2, except there's one huge difference. That difference is that it is in real time. Every movement you control Lightning with the analog stick, your attacks are all real time. As long as you have ATB enough to consume that ability, you can use that attack. So if you're trying to use guard and it takes 10 ATB and you have a 200 ATB, that's a lot of guarding you can do. Maybe an attack like heavy slash and it costs 50 ATB. As long as you have 50 ATB, you can continuously use heavy slash. The system is pretty much the same as 13. The general idea is to exploit their weakness, break down their defense into break mode, stagger mode in the American version. Once they're in break mode, destroy them with your most powerful attacks, which is pretty much your physical attacks, like attacker. But they added a few new functions that helps out. Now, instead of called a break or stagger mode, it's called knockout. Knockout is a little different. There are several ways to cause a knockout, which is pretty much equivalent to break mode. You can still do break by the normal means of 13.2, but knockout can usually make it much faster, and it can also hurt the enemies too. For example, the fishes on those deserts, you can cast arrow wind spells to weaken them and then, you know, cause them to break mode. Or when they're diving at you, if you do a guard, a just guard, which is a perfect timed guard, right when about to hit you, you hit guard, it'll automatically cause a knockout, and they're pretty much, you know, helpless like a magic carp on the ground, which allows you to beat them up. Another example is against a more powerful enemy like a Dreadnought. When it's charging its attack, if you use a really powerful attack at it while it's charging an attack, you can cause a knockout, which would pretty much, you know, put them in break mode, and they're completely vulnerable to getting hurt. Now, that is not the only thing knockout can do. It can also cause status effect on the enemy itself. Some enemies, when they get hit by knockout, they can get debuffed, like they can't cast spells, or they can't use magic, or physical attacks. For example, a skeleton. When you cause the first knockout, it doesn't seem like anything happens because they're back on their feet and they're about to hit you. You know, they want to attack you still. But if you cause the second knockout, that's where the beauty is. They are completely crumbled on the ground, and they're completely vulnerable until you, for a long time, enough for you to defeat them. So that has a lot of functions for knockout because it's really helpful in allowing you to decide if you want to go for break mode, or do you want to try to cause a knockout by either a just guard or a heavy counter hit. Now, there's a lot more other functions due to this real time. There's a thing called just attack and just defend or just guard. It is like any fighting games that has that functions, like in Fatal Fury, Mark of the Wolves, where just defend. If you block, if you guard, right at the last possible second when they hit you, you get a beneficiary, stats or something. In this case, it reduces the damage you can get severely. For example, a powerful attack, let's say a huge laser beam, can maybe do 10,000 damage on you if you don't block at all. If you're guarding and it hits you, it might deal 7,000 instead. If you perfect guard, it could be maybe 3,000. So that's a 7,000 damage difference. That could mean life or death. So learning how to just guard enemies is very important because it can reduce damage a lot and has a chance of causing a knockout. Just attack. It's the same thing, except instead of defensive, it's offensive. When you hit an enemy with a physical attack, right before you hit them, you activate your next, you push your next ability you want to use. If you do it perfectly, you'll see a little spark on yourself and you'll glow. Damage is increased by 20 to 25% as long, for that next attack. And for spells, if you use it right before you do that, when you shoot a fireball out or whatever, it'll give you that just attack too for spells. It can, like I said, it can increase your damage and also it can prevent staggering sometimes, at least from what I played. So just attack, that 20% extra damage could be life or death too, because that's a lot of damage. Instead of 17,000 damage, it could be 25,000 damage. You can also increase the knockout gauge, the stagger gauge or a break gauge, that little frequency wave you can see on enemies when you hit them enough. It can increase that even more. So just defend and just attack are two equally important skills you might want to learn when you play this game. Another is ability canceling and guard canceling. Guard canceling, ability canceling is when you do an attack, like a spell, there's a limit to how much you do in a single attack until you do a finisher combo. It's similar to Phantasy Star Online, where you can do a 3-hit combo only. So for example, a tier 1 spell for Arrow, Fire, Blizzard, and Thunder, you can cast 5 times max. On the 5th time, you do a backflip, and then the last hit will deal extra damage, and it'll increase the knockout gauge pretty high. For tier 2 spell, a raw spell like Arrow Raw, Fire Raw, the limit is 3 casts. So on the 3rd hit, you're gonna do a backflip and you cast. Now, when you guard cancel, what happened is after the backflip, you lay on the ground and you're stuck there for a while. When you guard cancel, you pretty much remove that recovery and allows you to attack again. As you can see in this video, you can on the left, you can see me casting without guard canceling. On the right, you can see me casting without casting with guard canceling. That's a huge difference right there, because number one, you do more hits, but also since it's all speed wise, you can do more hits while you have that buff, like an auto buff, which can last maybe 15-30 seconds. So time is valuable, but there is a disadvantage though. Using guard cancel requires you to use the guard ability. So when you use the guard ability, you lose ATB because they're using guard. So you gotta make sure you have enough ATB to use both guarding to cancel out the recovery animation and the attacking or casting. Now ability canceling is not really a true canceling. It's more of avoiding the last hit. So a raw spell, like I said, you only can cast 3 times. So you cast 2 fire. Instead of casting a dirt fire, you quickly switch to another spell like Arrow. That way, it'll be you know, a brand new combo, but you're continuously attacking. This is really good, and you want to constantly, you know, bombard them with spells to quickly kill them off or try to break them as soon as possible. So the battle system in this game is a lot more in-depth than the other 2 previous games, because while you can still do the standard exploit weakness, debuff them, enhance yourself, exploit their weakness, and then when they're in break mode, you attack them and kill them off. You can also have knockout abilities like Just Defend, which you can do an instant break knockout, or a counter hit when they're charging up. You can also interrupt and break them into instant knockout. So yes, learning the enemy's attack style pattern, learning to know when you can use Just Guard to break them or a counter attack, and also learning to use Just Attack. All of these will help you tremendously in the game. Then this is what makes the battle system in this game so amazing, because of all the ability to do all of this in real time with full control of Lightning. Last, I want to talk about the content of Lightning Return. Sadly, the main quest of the game is extremely short. You can actually pretty much, if you know what to do exactly, you can pretty much beat it all in one day. But there are tons of side quests, about 100 plus or so. Now the thing is, this game is running real time. About a minute in the game is equivalent to 3 to 4 seconds in the real world. So frankly, that is a lot of quests to do, and you gotta do some time management and everything. So trying to do it all and stuff can be troublesome, you know, especially when some quests are time specific, like you have to be around 10 o'clock to midnight in order to talk to the guy or do the quest. That's where Chronostasis comes in. Chronostasis is a GP ability. With a cost of 1 point, you can freeze time. Now in doing so, this means you can actually do a lot of quests while time is frozen. And that's the problem right there. Because with that ability, you can clear a lot of quests and pretty much the main quest. And you'll have a bunch of leftover days where you have nothing to do other than maybe find quests you may have not found, or killing enemies and extincting them just for hell of it. Yes, you can extinct enemies in this game. Once they're extinct, they're gone for good until New Game Plus. So overall, the game is short because there's only 13 days in game, and the content is lacking if you abuse the overclock system. If you don't abuse it or even use it, it is a little more balanced, because you won't be able to do maybe like 50 quests within one day, when rather you can probably only do maybe 10 or 20, maybe 10 quests in one day, depending on if you know what to do and all that stuff. So overall, the content is lacking because that's all you pretty much do. All you do is just do quests, which has side quests which have no relevance to the plot at all. Majority of the time, you do the main quest, which is very short. It doesn't take much time at all. You can finish in 1 hour or 2 at best. And aside from that, all you do is just kill monsters, exterminate them for weapons, accessories, and so forth. So what do I think of Lightning Return overall? Let's recap of everything I discussed so far. Storyline. If you look at it as a grand scale of all 3 games, I liked the story. It actually made a lot of sense. But if you look at it at a separate game for each, it doesn't make quite as much sense. And the ending for Lightning Return is a love or hate situation. Because to me, I felt it was too awkward and weird as hell. So I didn't like the ending. It was just mind-blowing. Graphics. Environment is beautiful. I love it. It's all very open-ended. The draws distant is really good. I think the draws distance is good because you can see enemies far away. But the downside is the texture is horrible. The there's clipping. Models are pretty bad for some models like the dog and stuff. So it's really sad considering Final Fantasy 13 was a hell lot better than that, and even 13 too, I believe, is graphically better also. Of course, the CGI is obviously up there still, so there's no problem with that. For customization, the style is awesome. I love the fact that you can modify the way you play the game, you know, your playstyle, whether you're like an old school Final Fantasy 13 battle system style way, or you make a hybrid to make it balanced. Downside to that is every costume has a locked ability, and some costumes are awesome, but the locked ability they have there is really bad. So you are kind of limited unless you can work around it, which I do for my case. There is really not an ultimate costume except for maybe 1 or 2, but the rest are pretty balanced in sense of you can work around that disadvantage and still do really good. The upgrades on ability is a one-track situation. Either you upgrade or you don't. You can't really like customize like how you want to upgrade the ability. It's always the same. When you synthesize, the attack multiplier goes up, and you inherit whatever is better, like the ATB reduction, cost and passive. When you level up, everything increases. So it's always the same thing. For weapons and and shields, it's a little better because you can actually customize within a limited amount of customization of how you want it to be. Do you want your sword to be more powerful magic, or physical attack, or more a better passive, improve the passive ability? It's all entirely up to you on how you want it to do it. Battle system. It's fun, it's fast, and very strategical. You can zone the enemy. You can break the enemy Final Fantasy 13 way. You can use the new way of knockout to debuff them or cause effects that may not have happened if you've done it the Final Fantasy 13 way. So there are many ways to overcome disadvantages, like a really powerful attack. Use just defend. If you perfectly guard the attack, you reduce damage a lot, which could help you, keep you alive. Or you want to do extra damage on your attacks? Do just attacks. Time your attacks perfectly, and you can do extra 20% plus damage. The response in battle is really fluid, and it's real time. What can you say? I think the battle system is probably the high point in this game. It's really fun, and I love it. Of course, there's problems with the battle system, including movement is slow in this game, but I can understand why. Because if you can move as fast as like Tails' game will free run, you'll be overpowered really. but you can still use it to advantage of adjusting of attacking body parts or avoiding area effect attacks. And also, there is frame rate issues once in a while, depending on your location of where you're fighting enemy and your attacks and spells and the amount of enemies is in the fight. Content. There are new enemy models, and they did promise you that 50% of the enemies are brand new, except one problem. They barely brought any. The amount of total enemies is not even much. So just like maybe 10 different enemy models at best, and obviously 13 and 13.2 have a lot more different enemy models than that. So the amount is really lacking in enemies. The quest itself, unless you're on the main quest, which is linked to the plot, side quests aren't even relevant to the plot majority of the time. So, and side quests are pretty much kill, get items, or fetch something. So, it's non-relevant to the plot, and you're just doing it just for the stats. Now, the problem with the content, like I said, is depending on how you play it, if you exploit the chronostasis to freeze time, you will skew the amount of quests you do, and end up with literally nothing to do at the end of the game. If you're not used to time management, you'll probably waste a lot of time trying to figure out what to do and what quest to do. And you may, and I heavily stress the word may, you may either balance it out, have everything done, well not everything, but at least, a balanced amount of quests done up till day 13, or you may stress yourself to the point at day 13, you probably didn't do much quest, and you have a tons of it to do, and there's nothing you can really do, because you're like, oh my god, I'm about to end the game and I haven't done much quest. Thankfully, just New Game Plus, so you don't have to worry too much. So overall, great game to me, but the biggest problem is this game feels like an expansion. It doesn't feel like a full game. It feels like a Diablo 2 expansion pack or StarCraft 2 expansion pack, World of Warcraft expansion. It's like a half of a game instead of a full game. Another problem, the second problem is the time management part. If you're not used to time management games, then this game could be a problem for you. Of course, you don't have to worry too much because you can just go New Game Plus and, make up for whatever you missed, and you have better experience of understanding what to do, so that can work out. Because New Game Plus, you carry everything, and quest resets, so you can redo it again. So, that's my opinion. I'm sorry for this long, alleged review. And I end up talking about everything. So if just any question, just write in a comment and I'll answer it. I know I did not explain everything because I didn't realize it's going to be almost an hour talk. It was unintentional, so. Plus, it's not exactly professional review or anything. It's just, I just want to, give my opinion, explain the good stuff about it, and battle system, descent, and details, because I know a lot of people want to know about it. So, thanks for watching and listening. I hope this actually gives you an idea of what to expect, and if you got any question, just post down there. But like I said, great game. I love the battle system. I love the style customization. That's the two best points. The two bad points, it feels like an expansion game, not a full game, because of the lack of content and everything. It's not much. And the time management may be a turnoff for players that are not used to it. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope you have a great day or night.